Welcome back to another episode of The Canon. I'm your host, Terry, and today I'm doing my top 5 scenes from Avengers Infinity War. This is a spoiler warning, of course. Naming these scenes is spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie, please hold off, go see the movie, then come back for this. Okay, so starting off with number 5. My top 5, or my number 5 scene in Infinity War is when you have part of the Guardians, get into the ship on Titan and end up fighting with Iron Man and Doctor Strange and Spider-Man. I thought that was pretty funny. The banter, of course, between Star-Lord and Iron Man was just as good as the banter between Doctor Strange and Iron Man, which we get to see more of it later. But this was kind of the introduction. First off, I just thought it was a cool fight. Like, a lot of these fights were pretty well choreographed and everything. So Star-Lord really got to show out, I think, this movie with all the people that he was fighting, that he can hold his own. And he's not just cocky and with no skill. He actually has skill. So even though the Guardians might not be what we think on par with the Avengers, they have been doing a lot of fighting, and Star-Lord's pretty experienced, so being able to go toe to toe with Iron Man and all that was pretty funny. But then, of course, the whole jokes was just funny. I mean, where's Gamora? Who is Gamora? Why is Gamora? That was one of the funniest parts in the movie. Drax had all the good jokes, but that was one of the funniest ones to me. I was dying laughing on that. And, which master do you serve? All that good stuff. So I thought it was a pretty, fun scene with some good action. That was a good example of, balancing, comedy and action. So anyway, number 4, and this is a scene I really, really love. At least maybe not the whole sequence, but the first scene. And that's when, you have Tony Stark, inside the, Sanctum Sanctorum with Doctor Strange, Wong, and, Bruce Banner, and they hear or feel the wind outside, and they're like, okay, well, what's coming? I just thought the way it was shot was so cool. You got real tight up on Tony walking out. You open the door, like you inside, and it's just kind of calm. And then you open the door and it just goes right out into this chaos. You see him helping up the lady, pans up, sees this car crash right in front of them. There's people running, there's stuff in the air. It just seems to really set a tone, because this was very early on in the movie. It really set a tone for like the level of destruction and chaos going on in Infinity War. And it reminded me of the attack on New York, from the Chitauri, except we didn't really get a ground level, kind of almost, point of view cam like we did here, where it was really close up and it kind of showed the chaos. I just thought it was cool. And in the theater, it just really set a tone. There was no dialogue. It was just all atmosphere. And I like, of course, the fight that followed with Ebony Maw and all that. But I just thought the jokes, again, just kind of, cut down the intensity that was built up. But I still like that whole little scene. Then number 3. My favorite, number 3 scene is when you had the Guardians intercept Thor. The whole sequence where they, the jokes before they woke him up was hilarious. Well, they're making fun of, Quill, talking about he's gotten fat. I'm telling you, Chris Pratt just killed it in this movie. Absolutely killed it with we already know he's good at comedy, but I think he took it up to a level that, he didn't hit in the previous 2 Guardians. So that was funny, but then they, wake Thor up, and the banter is just hilarious. And then, everybody called him a pirate angel. That was funny. And, Star-Lord imitating the voice, and then like, Quill, you making your voice deeper, like that was one of the funniest, things. And anything with the Guardians was the best comedy, but that was one of the funnier moments that just had a lot of nonstop laughs. And I think you gotta see that scene a couple times, especially if the theater's loud. You gotta see it a couple times to catch all the jokes. Then number 2, as we get a little more serious, number 2, this was a quick scene, but it stands out to me so much. And that's when, you had Tony, he boarded the ship that Ebony Maw was piloting. You know, he used this laser to kind of cut a hole, and he got on. And when he got on, he's talking to Pepper on the comms, and it was so chilling and dark. And I just never thought Marvel would get there. I mean, I don't give them crap, but you know, Marvel has been what it is. It stays in its box. And Infinity War, although it has those same Marvel humor at the wrong time, there are parts that are way deeper than I ever thought. And so when he's getting on there, it was so good. I'm a sucker for like the on the phone or the way they edit it, you know, to sound like they're on the phone or something. Or like, even when Zemo's listening to the voice recording in Civil War, even I don't like Zemo. I'm a sucker for that. But anyway, he's talking to Pepper, and she's just like, and Gwyneth Paltrow, give her credit. She's just like, please, Tony, tell me you're not on that ship. Come back, Tony. No, don't do that. And then it started, you know, fading out. And then she's like, and it just cuts off. And it was like, it's so good. And it gets lost in this movie because this movie's huge, but such a great quiet moment where it's like, she's going to what? She's going to leave him. She's going to come after him. You don't know. And it was just good. And then oh my God, this was so good. This was a very cinematic, great choice by whoever chose to do it, where you had Friday was like, we're losing her, sir. And it was such a metaphor. It was beautiful. Cause of course she's talking about we're losing connection, but it was like, it reminds you of Iron Man 3 and all these other times in Civil War when you thought they weren't together. And she's just like, we're losing her cause you keep being Iron Man. And I'm sorry. I know a lot of people don't like DC listening to this, but that's the stuff I love from DC. I expect to see from Marvel. And then my number one scene, which it'd be hard for anybody to tell me this is not their number one scene. And that is the end where we get the snap, and then the sequence where we just get to see everybody kind of disappearing, especially the first time you see it. Cause you know it's happening. And so right after you see Bucky and you're like, okay, this is what's going on. Every time you see a scene, you're like, okay, who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? And while there's parts for reasons that it didn't grasp me as much, it all came to an end when Tom Holland got on the screen. When Tom Holland had his turn, oh, that kicked it up. That was the emotion that I was supposed to feel for the whole time. And it swelled to oh my God. I messed up just thinking about it. And I seen the movie twice, and I'm telling you, both times just really messed up. Tom Holland absolutely delivered on that scene. And for as much as I don't like the Tony Stark and Peter Parker relationship so far, at least the fact that they try to make it seem like that's his dad and he created Spider-Man, it was effective for the way it culminated, at least to this point, because it was tough. It was tough. It was real tough. So anyway, those are my top 5 scenes. We'd love to hear what everybody else thinks. What's their top 5 scenes from Infinity War? Go to the comment section. Let me know. Thumbs up, subscribe, share it around. And remember, if you heard it here, it's official canon.